Hi guys, Photon here and welcome to a Minecraft tutorial. Right in front of you, you see a very special machine that was designed to work in Minecraft 1.11, the new Minecraft snapshots just came out, the 28th of September. And for me it's the 29th right now, so just yesterday. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I did want to talk about is this thing right here. Now, as you can see, it is quite a big machine, and it's actually working right now, which is quite nice. You can already see right there that it's involving shulker boxes. This idea isn't mine. It is a idea by Pharrell, who is a fellow Patreon. That's how I know him. And he was having some issues getting this to work. So I went to work and thought of this design. What this machine does will be explained later in greater detail. But in essence, it is a very big item elevator. What it does is it brings items from the bottom to right here, to the top. And it's especially very handy, for example, when you go mining. You can just take an insane amount of shulker boxes with you, have a very big inventory, and empty them out as you go through the mines, for example. Now, although this machine is very much looking like a mess, it is actually quite modular, and in the tutorial you will see that it actually is quite modular, quite easy to build. Right now it is quite compact and also quite spatialized. It is quite, it's suitable for my needs, but I will make sure that the tutorial clearly distinguishes all the modules that I talked about, and that you will therefore be able to modify it for your own needs quite easily. So let's just jump into a void world and start building, shall we? What you see in front of you right here is the future site of the item drop-off. What happens in this little section is it is the place where the items that you put in are being put into the shulker boxes, and the shulker boxes are also getting returned in this little area. But more about that later on. Everything that you need is in this chest. It is a pretty lightweight module, so you'll need some building blocks. I'm going to use two colors to kind of designate the several circuits that you need. I'll also take the piston that you need. You also need some redstone dust, some repeaters, some comparators, and hoppers. I'll also take the dispenser. The sticky piston will come later. I'll explain that as well. So in this area, you can see it is 7 by 6 by 7 high. The chest will actually be on this level, on the 7th block. Just so you know, if you want to line up the input of that, then there is the place to do it. So there'll be some modules around it, and I'll just explain where they'll be, just for a reference. The drop shaft will be right here, which is where the shulker boxes will return. And on this side will be the actual dropper item elevator, which will bring the shulker boxes up to the top. Keep in mind that this is actually the width. It is more so of a longitudinal build than a width build, if you speak in those terms. Okay, so for the drop-off point, of course, it's nice to start with the point where the items get dropped off. So from there's a point here. Let's call it 3-3. I don't know why, but 3-3. Go up about 5 blocks. So we've gone up by 4 right now. This is the 5th block. Make sure you've got a hopper facing to the left. In that case, put one on top. This will actually be the place for your chest. Like that. Boom, boom. I'm using a chest here. You could replace this with shulker boxes. If you want to just place the raw shulker boxes down, you're more than free to. The thing is that these won't be broken, and the reason why I use chest is because it's easier to test with, because it is already a double inventory, which basically means it unloads twice as fast. But if you had two shulker boxes there, it would have the same effect. This also means that this little gap here will be the place where the shulker boxes are going to be placed. Then continue by putting a dispenser right here, facing upwards. This is the thing that is going to place all the shulker boxes. And it will also be handy to be able to remove the shulker boxes once they are full. So place a piston facing that way. You can see it's already getting quite cramped. But yeah, what did you expect? So you might think, why is that floating block there suddenly? Well, because this actually leads into the drop elevator that we're building later on. It's another module. So for now, let's just do it like this. It's a hopper chain that carries away all of the shulker boxes. A nice gesture would be to just block off all the blocks that the shulker box entity could jump into. So this just prevents that the entity misses the hopper if it would. It's unlikely, but you never know. Now it will at least bounce against something, and you'll be sure that it doesn't, break out. Then what we need to do is build the retrieval system for the shulker boxes that come falling from the top. Now again, it's a very simple little thing that we need to build. Basically, it's a hopper facing into the dispenser that we placed down before. Then we put a comparator on the top of it, which basically means that this thing will read the contents of the shulker box right here. And to limit the amount of items in the shulker box, you can basically put a comparator facing into it with this in subtract mode, and then any kind of container. So you could put a chest there, a hopper, a dropper, a furnace. I'll just put a hopper there for now, and the amount of items you put in here will determine how many items you have in the shulker box in the end. So if you put this thing completely full to the brim with items, that means that the shulker box will be completely full before it will be sent off. And if you fill it like halfway, that means that the shulker box will also be approximately halfway filled and then be sent off. And essentially, this is where the shaft starts. So you'll need blocks right here. I know I'm building with slabs, isn't it great? You also need slabs right here, or at least just blocks. Just solid blocks is fine. It doesn't really matter what you choose to build with, as long as it provides a barrier for items. And you'll also need it right here. Right here's a little bit more tricky, but you could go for stairs. I'll just place a slab right there because I have them on me. So that is the chain, or the chute, that the shulker boxes will fall through in the end, but we'll, again, get to that later on. Now we need a few more mechanics that will control whenever the pistons are being activated, the dispenser being activated, so let's do that right now. Again, it's good practice to fill in the blocks around the piston. That is just in case there is some weird glitch, because it is Minecraft, and the item decides it wants to go somewhere else that you don't want it to go to. This helps prevent that. Now that we have this, let's move on to some color-coded circuits. For example, this one will accept all the pulses that will say, hey, the shulker box is actually full, let's send it off. So let's make that magenta. It's redstone dust on that one, and a block next to it, and a block diagonal to that, with a repeater sitting on 2 ticks. So that will say, okay, fire the piston, and therefore break the shulker box and send it on its way. But, well, maybe there are items in here that are stuck or something. We will need to prevent that, so you know what? Let's make an extra circuit for that. So we'll have a repeater on 3 ticks right here with a staircase of magenta going down. Of course, I'm using magenta, you could use something else. Then it is a repeater to 2 ticks, of course redstone dust on the entire staircase. Then it's a block next to it with redstone dust on it, with a block to the side, touching the dispenser. And so this will power as soon as the shulker box has been filled to its limit that we specified right here with the hopper. Then for the orange combination, we also need to read when the dispenser has an item in, if it's empty, for example. So the way we do that is by placing an orange wall right there. We're just going to use orange to color code this one. Place a comparator. Now, I don't know if you knew this trick, but if there's a solid block between a container and a comparator, it will still read it. So this will still read the contents of the dispenser, even though it is between a wall. Then what we do is we go downward, like this, because we need to go into a monostable circuit, because you have to see it this way. This dispenser could have things in for longer, and then we don't want this constantly powered, because it would make boxes get stuck. It would make the other circuit that we just made completely obsolete and not functional. So then we go here, we put this one on 1 tick, then we put a block, we continue that little strip, put a repeater on 2 ticks, and then put another orange block, which will lead into the same redstone dust. And that right there is your little tick-up system complete. I can actually demonstrate it a little bit. So, say we got ourselves a little shulker box, right? We could just throw that in there. As you can see, it will place it into that spot, but because there's no items in, it won't really do anything. So let's just put some random items in, and it gets shot off, and there it is, with 2 woolen, because that's the lowest threshold that you can get in the system, because it's, feeding 2 hoppers. So yes, this part works. You have your little fill system complete. Now, as said, this you can modify. You could put shulker boxes here, you could stack multiple chests, you could do whatever you want with it. But yeah, this is basically your main input for it. Then we get to the next module, which is the item elevator, because of course your items need to go upwards. For that, I designed a pretty compact little thing, which I'm pretty proud of. It is this 2x5 dropper elevator, which is vertically stackable. So you can just stack them. They're always too high. I'll just build one layer for you guys, and then, you can see how it is. And I will do the rest of the layers myself, so that you can see how it looks in a tower. So we start here from the hopper, of course, that's the input. From there on out, you place 2 droppers facing upwards. Then you place a block so that you can read the contents of the lowest dropper. Place a block next to the comparator. Then place a block right there so that you can put redstone dust on it, place a block against the comparator, block, repeater, block, then another block with redstone dust on it, then a block, and then a redstone repeater right there. Those are both on one tick, and that is the blueprint for it. You can just keep copying this over. I'll be right back, and I will show you guys how it looks with multiple layers. Alright, there we go. I built up quite a few layers. I think this is about 8 if I counted correctly. Which is quite tall, but normally you would make it taller, probably. Alright, so let's start work on module number 3, which is also the final official module that I have devised. And this is the unloading station. Now, because we have the double loading down here, we are kind of obliged to also give an update to the unloading station. We can't just have a one-to-one loader or unloader. So it's a little bit special, hence the somewhat more exotic list of items that you will need. So yeah, take a glance at it. I will explain this one in parts actually. I won't do it all in one go, because this is more of an intricate circuit that you'll need to build. So for this part of the module, I've reserved this little amount of space. So it's kind of like a 5x5. You need to also include this part. But it's not that big. It's quite reasonable. So this is the dropper rotor that we installed in the last module. Let's put a redstone torch there so that we get the output from that. You link it up basically. And you put 2 blocks there with a redstone torch there. Then place 2 rails like this so that it forms a slope, but don't remove this one because if it updates, meh. We need that one there. Then what we do is we place a normal rail here. Then we need 2 hopper chains. So that one's facing down as it's supposed to. And also this one. As you can see, it's symmetrical. And the hoppers are all facing each other except the last one. It's facing down. It's important. Then we need rails to the side with blocks on the side of them, like this. And then we will need to power them. It's important. So these are always powered. You could also switch this around, but it's not strictly necessary. It does make it look a little bit cleaner. And that is basically your delivery rails done. All you need is place the hopper cart, and we can even test it. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just throw something in the bin. It should go up the elevator, as you can see. And there we go. It just hops into a slot, then drops the item off, as you can see here, and returns to its original state. So now that we have all of this in place, we can retrieve items from the elevator, but we don't have any place to, unload them. So let's make that right now. This hopper points downwards, ideal place for dispensers. So that's where the shulker box will be placed. Then you will want basically the same pattern as we had downstairs. Just pistons facing to the side. There you go. And it will be a hopper underneath. These will go anywhere you want. Those will be your output. As I said, every shulker box, because these will be 2 places for shulker boxes, as you can see, will only have 1 output. So we can't pull them out faster, but at least we have 2 spots, so we can extract 2 boxes simultaneously, That's why this is faster. Alright, so the next couple of things I will build on one side and then copy over when I do the next segment. I think that would be the most, like, the easiest way to do this. And the next thing that I want to work on is activating the dispenser, because, you know, when it's got something in, we want it to fire. So to do that, place a block right in the middle of these two. Then place a comparator one block over with a block on its side and on the top, and place redstone dust there and a repeater there. It will very shortly lock this hopper, but I mean, there's only ever one item going through at a time, and that is going to be shulker box already in the dispenser. So in the end, it doesn't really matter. We also need to read the shulker box outputs, so that would be right here. And to kind of give a quick update, because sometimes comparators are a little bit glitchy, I always like to provide a small input to them, so that essentially you're sure that they always update. You just do that. So as soon as it fires out the shulker box, a little bit later, it will update the comparator if it didn't already. And that way you don't get the error and, you know, it getting stuck where the shulker box doesn't get detected as having something in it, which is annoying. So yeah, this helps prevent that. There you go. Once you've finished, this should now be the top-down view of the system. So you might wonder, why is this comparator here? Well, this will detect how full the shulker box is that is going to be there. It's not there right now, but, you know, it will be. Anyway, we need to fire a piston once it's empty. The way we do that is by placing a block here and then placing a redstone torch. So as soon as it's empty, like it is right now basically, this torch will turn on. But we don't want a signal which is super long, so we make a monocell circuit like the one we did down below at the loader, like this, with a thing there. That's a sticky piston, by the way. That's important to note. And we make it a 2-tick pulse. It doesn't really matter, but that's what we do. And then we put a block right there, redstone dust on top. And that is how we control the pistons. Alright, so if you take a step back, and this is what your thing looks like from the top down, then you have successfully followed all the instructions that I gave you so far, but there's still some things that we're missing. For example, controlling this rail junction. So that's what we're going to do now. I just made one the default, and if that one is full, it redirects it to the other. You can do it differently. That's how I did it. So the way to do that is pretty simple. You just place a torch on either side of this block. You can pick that one, you can pick that one. Whatever side you put the torch on becomes the default. Doesn't really matter, really. I pick the left side. Then you go over, and I'll shortly show you why. Then you put a slab there, and a block right next to the junction. If you did that, well, the junction will switch depending on what side you want to go to. So something that we gotta watch for is the fact that shulker boxes can be picked up by the hoppers again. So we need to lock them for a very short amount of time. The way we do that is pretty simple. We place redstone torches right there, and then place blocks, 2 blocks underneath those torches. And so basically we can place redstone dust there and put these on 2 ticks of delay. That should prevent any shulker boxes from ending up in the hoppers. So this is basically this machine done. It should work right now, but it's not completely reliable. For example, sometimes boxes will jump between hoppers because they just jump over by the force of the piston. A very neat trick you can do to counteract that is by placing water. It's hard to do, and it can wash away your redstone. But if you manage to do it, then it will basically mean that the items will be slowed down and sink downwards a little bit faster. That way you prevent them from jumping over. A neat way of doing that is just placing slabs right here. And then you could be quick about it, which I'm going to try and do. There we go. That was quick enough. The water didn't spill. There's still room for the shulker, and you have water, so things shouldn't jump over anymore, which is a very neat little thing to do. Another enhancement that you can make is a protection that will prevent your system from getting stuck when you try to send a box in with a spot that's already occupied. If both are occupied, it might get stuck. So a way to do that is to take the outputs from both of these, connect them up with redstone, of course, then take a torch, put it in here, so we've basically created an AND gate, and then just power some redstone, goes all the way down. My preferred way of doing this, as you can see, is slime blocks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Should be able to do one more. So this has a reach limit and all that stuff, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good way to get vertical redstone done. I can actually go one lower, like this. Yes, this is more on the fly, by the way, if you didn't notice. And just go down underneath, like this, and you can block any of these hoppers, basically. This one is the best because it does allow you to have a little bit of buffer. So shulker boxes will still be picked up, will still be filled up, but they will never be sent. Alright, so for the test, I have 10 stacks of buttons that I would like delivered, and I have 2 shulker boxes. So, let's get to work. First off, let's place the boxes in here. As you can see, they get placed, but nothing gets filled in because there's no items, but there are now. So it starts loading at 2 items per tick, which is the speed at which it works, of course. And at a certain point in the very near future, because I only have 1 item here, which means that it needs a signal strength of 1 out of the comparator. There we go, it breaks, goes up the elevator, into the minecart, and gets placed down. And also starts unloading. And all of that while the other box is loading down here. You can't see it in the hoppers, but it actually is. There we go, it's filled up enough. Also goes up the minecart elevator. You can see it took the other path because this path was already taken. So this should be about halfway. Yeah, that's pretty close. Alright, so yep, this one is almost done. So it will get fired off. And you can see it fired down here. And it started filling new things. Right? So it's a continuous loop of shulker boxes, practically. So I think this one is about done. Yep, there it goes. Yep, there it goes. Oh, perfect timing. Yeah, so they should be about in sync with each other. And there you go. So this just continues. Now, of course, the things now feed into each other. All of the shulker boxes. You could also route the hopper to go outward into a chest so that you could pick them back up, right? But for now, this is about the handiest system that I could find for it. That's the Shulker Mover 1.0. You now know how to build it, so go forth, build it yourself if you're interested. Tell me what you think of it. Maybe you have improvements or suggestions, or I don't know. I always like hearing from you guys, so if you have them, please let me know them on the Twitters or the YouTubes or whatever you can find me on. And I hope it works out for you. I hope you enjoy this. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will catch you later.